Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to, well, July 2023 Camp NaNoWriMo version of Soul Care Sundays. I'm Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references. Don't mind me as I look around and make sure all the sound and audio things are a-okay. We do have a wonderful panelist set joining us this week. We're going to go ahead and do episode 2 of 2 next week. So definitely go ahead and make sure you're subscribed and that you're, well, here to chill out, defend some fan fiction this week, and find out ways to refill the well next week. Our epic guest list starts off with none other than the one, the only, Michael Dunn. Oh, welcome back.
Hello. Hi, I'm Michael Dawn Brooks. I write sci-fi, urban fantasy, YA, all the things, kind of genre crossing, genre bending, literature. I use the term broadly. I right now have my Heart of the Waysharer saga out, and book 2 will be coming out in October, and book 1 will be celebrating its first anniversary. I also have a lot of things on my subscription service at Ream, at reamstories.com/Michael Dawn Brooks, and you can find all kinds of weird and quirky satire and sci-fi and even some steamy stuff on that channel. So I'm really happy to be here, and I love fanfic. It has meant a lot to me.
Wonderful. Glad to have you here today, my dear friend. We're going to go ahead and bring in a familiar face. Actually, a pair of familiar faces. Lauren and Nicole, welcome back.
Hi.
That was in unison. That was in stereo. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Tell us all about yourselves, my dears.
You want me to first?
Yes.
Okay. Mermaid guys. My name's Nicole. My channel is The Blind Mage. Writing videos of poetry, octopus songs, magic, and tarot. I also write dark poetry, fantasy, and paranormal. I am the author of Shadow's Abyss, a collection of poetry, co-author of Hunted Trilogy, and also co-owner of Enchanting Realms, our trophy page.
Oh, it's Enchanting Self-Publishing, but it's okay.
You changed the title, Mita.
No, I didn't.
Go on.
And we also have
I'm the better
Lauren.
half. Yeah, the better half. No, I'll be good because she'll hurt me. My YouTube channel is Author Lauren Adele. I write poetry, fantasy, and paranormal romance. And the author of Ignited Melody, which is a poetry collection. And working on my next collection of poetry. And revising Hunted with Nicole and Jenna. Hoping to republish it. And yeah, just take it from there, one step at a time.
You've taken leaps and bounds and people don't even know it yet. That's the amazing part. Speaking of someone who makes leaps and bounds, we call her Mama for a reason. And since I've met her, she's written another 1,000,000 words. Mama Maggie. Hello. How are you?
Hello, lovelies. Yes, Mama Maggie Ward here, independent author and stroke survivor. And I support fan fiction because Relic of Time Wars, the whole series, 15 books, I am now putting it out on Amazon. I've pulled it from Vella. I've decided Vella gets expensive when you write sci-fi epic series and sci-fi fantasy. So, yeah, I'm putting it on Amazon. I'm currently running through Amazon now. We are coming up on book 4.5. And plus, there is the Huntsman prequel quartet already on my Amazon. And believe it or not, this entire 1.4 million word series, all 15 books and the 4 prequels, started from a 2-minute music parody video that came out like 3 months after my stroke. My kids were watching it. We had some friends that were using Minecraft as an animation engine for a series. One of them was writing, and they put out this music parody video. And in this music parody video, you get 3 different spots where there's about 2 or 3 seconds of this little boy running through a city that's in the middle of the map. And sorry, Kitty just jumped up and swatted the thing. Running through this battle, and there's just this little boy with this iron golem protector. And my kids, I've always told them stories, and they were like, Mom, tell us the little boy's story. And that little story seed became the 30,000 words of War of Prophecies, which then blew up into the Relic of Time War series. So awesome. I am all for supporting fan fiction as a seed for writing, because you never know where that one little seed, you don't know when it's going to become your forest.
That's true. That's very, very true. And saying hi in the comments. I know Cool Gamer stopped on in to say hi. If any of you have questions for any of us, we are doing an Ask Us Anything at the very end. Mark it with the Q or a question mark, and we'll get to you there when we get to the audience questions and topic. I've also asked our co-hosts on screen if they have anything, they can add it throughout or at the end. We do have a couple of pre-laid questions though, because I'm an English teacher. I know not to go into a presentation without something prepared. First question, which types of fan fiction do you remember reading most? We're talking about just reading. We'll get to writing in a minute, and we're going to start with probably Dawn, go down to the sisters, and then end with Mama Maggie and back up to me. Go around the 4 square.
Sounds good. All right. So I guess I didn't know what fanfic was until Lord of the Rings was the first movie was gearing up. And that's when I discovered the onering.net. And so I was on Torn, I was on the message boards, I was Diamond Took. I don't know if anybody remembers me, but I used to post a lot of parodies, like song parodies. I looked them up this morning. These are like from the early aughts, and they were pretty tight, actually. I'm like, wow.
Did it make you cringe at all?
Not the parodies. The parodies did not make me cringe. It was my first fanfic that I wrote. Well, and the first fanfic that I wrote wasn't actually the first fanfic I wrote. I didn't know what fanfiction was, and I was writing like Chronicles of Narnia fanfiction. I always was dissatisfied.
Get too far ahead of yourself. You might answer your question.
But yeah, yes, it was really Lord of the Rings where I first started reading. I read this beautiful little one that I've never been able to find again, but it was like a Lord of the Rings meets Pride and Prejudice set in Bree. So it was like these little hobbits having like their whole Elizabeth Bennet Darcy thing. It was so good. It was so good. And I don't know where it is now. It's probably still in the annals of, somewhere in Torn. But yeah.
Because now I'm picturing like Samwise Gamgee's romance, but as like a soap opera or something.
Well, it was all original characters. Wow. And it was all set in Bree. Like, so it wasn't even in like the Shire. It wasn't in Hobbiton. It was all original characters. It was beautiful.
Yes, Mama Maggie agreed. That's awesome. And I apologize if you hear kitties meow. We're having a thunderstorm pass through. Lauren and Nicole might be getting it soon. I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry, it's not my fault. It might go out to you guys. You're closer to the water. So definitely glad to hear that share. So are we passing down to the sisters then, Michael? I'm sorry if I cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
So Lauren and Nicole, which types of fan fiction do you remember reading the most? 6, so do we. Welcome here, my friend.
I should get first because it's your fault because you introduced me to it. I feel like I was looking for like Disney and fairy tale retelling, and then you put me on to fan fiction. So I remember reading a lot of like fairy tale retellings, and a lot for the animes that we would watch. So one for Yu-Gi-Oh!, Sailor Moon, and Harry Potter, because that's actually the first books that got me into reading. But yeah.
I'm going to refrain mentioning how Harry Potter's author feels about fan fiction, considering that her fan base is one of the biggest attractors of, for all the right reasons. I'll say it that way. Did we cover for both sisters?
No.
Go ahead, Nick.
So I got into fan fiction around middle school, but to this day I still read a lot. So I learned minor anime covered, so Yu-Gi-Oh, Code DS, Digimon, Bleach, Holops, Yu-Gi-Oh, Lauren said, Harry Potter, Sherlock Holmes. And it's funny is that there was one I liked for Yu-Gi-Oh, but fanfiction did a thing where if your site wasn't active for a month or two, they took you off the site.
I remember a couple places did that, yeah.
And it's sad because one person wrote this really cool Yu-Gi-Oh fanfic where it was a concept of Serenity and a couple of them going through the puzzle, and you had to do all these different riddles and puzzles you had to solve, and it was really cool.
Well, yeah, all you had to do was see the word riddle, and you're like, ooh! And I ran away.
And how about for you, Mama Maggie?
Yeah, there's more about them.
I can't hear you, Mama Maggie. I can't hear you.
Sorry. I'm muting because of noise. Okay. Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat. Hello, Inka. Hello, Misty Kate. So this is dating myself. Yeah. When I was writing for the school paper in 6th and 7th grade, my first fan fiction was based on Battle of the Planets, the Gotcha Man anime. 1982.
Hey, I wasn't born yet.
I knew you wasn't old school otaku. I knew it.
I am. So I've never denied that. I was a huge fan of the world building of that universe. I really, really enjoy. I've always been a world building fan, and that is the thing that I think is most important about fan fictioning. So, but that I did not. It wasn't called fan fiction back then, and this is another thing to show how old I am. I saw my first Star Wars fan fiction in paperback at that time.
Wait, so if it wasn't called fan fiction,
this guy had written a book. He had written a very, very cringy Luke and Leo romance story.
Oh no!
He basically wrote what movie 2 could have been. Ended up with Han. Oh my god!
He wrote what we found out in movie 3 was ew, but no, it was, and yeah. So yeah, that's dating myself. So yeah, I go back old school. One of my first writing things, the fanzines. Yes, I had fanzines. One of my first writing things after my stroke, besides the huge Relic of Time War, the seed for Relic of Time War, as a fan fiction, was my friend Rachel Mills, who writes the Wildflower Pack series on Amazon, Radish, and Wattpad. She was writing a book called Clayton, and there were the fandoms split, the fandom split between the two male characters, but there was a group of us. We were like maybe a 10th of the fandom. And we were like, no, we don't want either of these men. They both suck. We are team Raya does it alone. And Raya, one of the side characters' name was Cora, who had gone to school with Raya. And so I picked up Cora, and I basically took this stream of consciousness of all the comments, and literally there was one time Rachel released 4 chapters on a day, and we crashed Wattpad.
Oh my god.
That's what the fandom did. And so I took the Cora and I made her this Team Raya consciousness. And that was my first full-length fan fiction. That's how I discovered it. Yeah, but no, I am old school, way back in the day fan fictioning. So
I
fan fiction, the world as story seeds, as long as you respect that author's world, I am like, go for it. Go for it.
Exactly. See, for me, it started with Ronin Warriors. There was a website called RoninWarriors.com. It was a message board, and I hung out there, and from like, it was 2 months old until it basically died. And I hung out
you
there.
could log into it through AOL.
Correct. So I'm an AIM fanfiction role player from the late 90s, early aughts. And my first fanfiction I ever read was Ronin Warriors. But I'm going to go ahead and to segue here. And in my opinion, musician fanfiction counts because I lived through the 90s and boy band fanfiction. Oh my God. There was so much.
Oh my word. K-pop fan fiction.
Oh, I can imagine.
And the Harry Styles fan fictions are still going. I don't understand them.
I guess so.
But they've been going for 12 years now. Harry Styles fan fictions have been running for more than 12 years that I'm aware of. But no, K-pop band fan fictions. The boy band fan fictions are now K-pop fan fictions, and they're interesting. My daughter reads them. She's a big K-pop fan, and I'm like, that's interesting.
I can't complain because of some of the stuff I've, written. I used to write for Sailor Mars all the time.
Yay!
She's my homegirl. And then, of course, there's this dark and broody dude named Vincent Valentine, who, if you didn't go into one room, you don't get to know who he is in the whole video game from Final Fantasy VII. So,
Vincent needs his own game.
He does. Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus.
I was going to say he has one.
Yeah.
The gameplay is crappy, but speaking of K-pop, we'll make a J-pop reference here. Gact did the theme song, Redemption, for it. And also, that's how he got into doing the voice of Genesis for the series. Nerd.
Wow.
Excuse you, what do you think you're doing?
All hail feline overlords! Molly Moo! Molly Moo!
We want attention.
I tried. So for the rest of you, writing most. What's the stories or the characters or the anime or whatever you remember writing for most?
Well, I started, oh God. Speaking of music fanfic, my very first fanfic was a New Kids on the Block fan fiction that with my friends and I were writing in the round. What's that?
I need to know, who's your favorite new kid?
All right. It was Joe, but I couldn't pick Joey because the other people in my friend group had already picked him. And they all told me that I had to be with John because they had picked everybody else.
John's the sweetheart, at least.
You know what? I'm not picky. They're all wonderful. You know? So.
And Joey grows up to be Fiero from Wicked, so. Anywho, I'm sorry.
So we would write it in the round. And it was funny because we were 14, okay? We were 14, all right? But the other girls in my friend group were writing straight up erotica. And I was not down with that. We were all friends, and it was like we were going on friend adventures, and there was a little bit of romance, but it wasn't like, it wasn't the straight up sex scenes that my friends were writing.
Yeah, but, some of the boy band stuff, it's like, that's kidnapping, right?
Right. Yeah. That's technically illegal what you just described there. Yeah. But then once I got older, I was doing more the Lord of the Rings parodies, but the first real fanfic that I wrote was a Chronicles of Narnia. It was because I was never really satisfied with how Susan's story ended, you know? And so I wrote this story that was, and I titled it Once a Queen of Narnia, Always a Queen of Narnia. And it was like, you know, it actually was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. And then of course but I haven't written, I want to be clear here. I haven't written a lot of fanfic. Like I can count on one hand, like the New Kids on the Block, the Chronicles of Narnia. I have this, I for a long time, I was playing with this Sherlock Holmes story. And about a 16-year-old girl, Michaela Watson, and she was John Watson's niece, and she came from America, and she was a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes. I had this whole story, and then Enola Holmes hits, and I'm like, well, there goes that story.
You should still publish Michaela Watson. I would read Michaela Watson. I love that idea that girls can be sleuths too.
Yes. Well, and she was on the trail of Jack the Ripper. So it was like this whole like Jack the Ripper story. So it's like, you know, scary and gory and all that kind of stuff. But
now you have to write it though.
Now I have to write it. Write it. And then the story that actually the fanfic that broke me wide open was a supernatural fanfic. And I wrote it in 1 week. I sat down. I'd never written supernatural fanfic before, but I'd been binging the series. I hadn't read any supernatural fanfic. I just sat down one day with this story seed and wrote for 7 days straight. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I didn't do anything but write. And in the end, and I just checked the fic. I was like, I thought it was like 38,000 words. No, I had a 31,419 word novella in 7 days. Turned into this Misty Fairchild in the Heart of Alignment. So, because by the end I was like,
for 7 day binge writing.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, it broke me wide open.
That's how it seemed to be.
Yeah, it was like by the end of that summer, I had written over 300,000 words across 5 different novels and various stages. Because like that one has been rewritten 20 times since 2014. But yeah, fan fiction, I believe in it, even if it's not something that I read a whole lot of or even write a whole lot of myself. But it definitely primes the pump.
Thank you for sharing. And for Lauren and Nicole, for you ladies, which ones do you remember writing most?
I feel like I'm in the same boat with Michael. Like, I don't feel like I've written a whole lot of fan fiction. I've read a lot. I think the one that I enjoyed writing the most was I was writing a Legend of Zelda fanfic where, and I feel like we talked about this idea, Jenna, when you were replaying the plot, but the idea of Zelda being the hero instead of Link, because, I mean, the game is named after her.
It would be nice to see her do something other than look pretty and cast magic. I would like to see her, and that's why I liked Sheik, bash the bejesus out of the bad guys. It was so nice to see that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. But then I feel like the issue was, like, I think I published a couple chapters of it, and then, like, people were complaining that it was, like, a derailment of, like, what they're used to of the game, and then, like, it kind of, like, dimmed, like, my confidence in it. But I feel like it needs to come back. I like the idea that now that there's been a couple more games in the franchise that I might go back to it.
You also had other fanfic for Sato's Journey fanfic you wrote.
Yeah, and then the other one was, well, we wrote a couple together. You have to tell me which one you're referring to.
The one where you saw Journey lose her vision.
Oh yeah, and then I started writing one for Kingdom Hearts again, where instead of like, and then they did touch on it in one of the game where instead of Sora getting the Keyblade, it would be Riku. Riku is a better character. He's more developed than Sora. Sora's annoying. A whiny kid.
Oh.
And then for Nicole, did we cover your sweetheart?
No. So you actually know by now, when I write, I can't just do one project. Same with reading. So I was working at a couple at the same time. So I did, for Udo, I had 2. I had character poems, which the one I wrote for Safra Kaiba blew up on DeviantArt. It was kind of cool to see. And then I wrote a fanfic called My Life, which is where I made Seto and the 10 brothers, and they had a blind sister. And,
They're cousins to start with, so that's not far
Yeah.
off.
And I was also working on a Devil May Cry fanfic.
That was fun.
Yeah. Where Dante is wrongly accused of a crime he didn't commit, so and Virgil trying to show he's innocent. And then I was also working on one for Digimon, where I showed signers turning dark and doing extra counterparts. And then also tried working on a supernatural one, but that didn't do very well.
It's a fun place to sandbox experiment, at least, right, though?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And for Mama Maggie, which one do you remember, other than the ones you've created a whole world for? Let's be sure there's probably more.
Well, of course, a Relic of Time and Shadows War, or Relic of Time Wars. That one, you know, it started as this. So Jorge was writing the series that Carlo and Chris were doing with him, and it was a combination of Zelda and Jurassic Park. So they were using the Jurassic Craft mod on Minecraft as the animation. And so if you read through the series, you will see like all of these game references: Halo, Assassin's Creed, Jurassic Craft, Jurassic World, Terra Nova. I was a huge Terra Nova fan. It was, if you don't know what Terra Nova was, it was this very short-lived sci-fi series where Earth is dying and they find this wormhole. And so they sent a beacon back in this wormhole to find out how far into the past it goes. Well, the beacon isn't there. The beacon isn't in our timeline. And so they start sending humans to escape Earth back to these colonies that are in the pre-Pleistocene, Jurassic era, Cretaceous era, or alternate Earth, and they start settling there. And so I was a huge fan of it. It touched on a lot of like political themes and colony syndrome and stuff, but I am a huge fan. Oh, 6, yes, my people, my people. And so yeah, but besides the gigantic Relic of Time War series, I think that Korra was 150,000 words based on Rachel's Wildflower World series. Now, I'm the only person she's ever authorized to fanfic her world, and I literally submitted every chapter to her to make sure that I was not stepping outside her world. And that one was, it was once you add like the recipe pages to it, because Korra was a chef, so all of the recipes mentioned into it, there are 4 places in the books where there are recipe pages. It worked out to about almost 150,000, and that was just that was just the Wildflower Pack world. But Relic of Time Wars is like I said, 1.4 million words, and it spans all these fandoms from Halo and Assassin's Creed and Zelda and Jurassic Craft and Terra Nova, and there's a few references to oh my goodness, I can't remember the fandom now. Stargate, Sarah is the character you hate. You hate her because of her arc.
Yes.
From becoming the Queen of Blades. She becomes the Queen of Blades, and then she ends up being the savior.
I can't remember.
StarCraft. It's StarCraft. And there's StarCraft things in here too. So yes, you can see if you're reading the books, if you're an old school gamer and you're reading through the books, you're like, I know where that's from. I know where that's from. I know where that's from.
My books can be kind of similar. When I first published this in its original form, there was literally mathematically 1.5 references to different things per page. It's not that now. It's much lower. But yeah, agreeing. Hardcore.
Yes, Devin. Yes, my people. My people.
Oh my god, I forgot about Sequest.
And we used to call Sequest. My family used to call Sequest. We used to call it Lucas saves the world.
Yes. Yes. That is appropriate line. We also have a mention of Tiger and Bunny, which I remember. See, this is why I didn't want to work in a Blockbuster while they were dying. Right here, Misty. Started managing a video store in the early 90s, and employee activity was to write round robins. There's a bookstore in the college town I went to. They had this too, and they would post them as you walked in. Inca used to rewrite the Hans Christian Andersen tales because they were too sad.
Yeah.
So he did the Disney
See,
Ariel.
That's a great thing to do, though. If you're just starting into fan fiction, there is a type of literally, and they call it rewriting the ending. And it's take a movie, take a story, take a TV series, and rewrite the ending of it to the ending
how you wanted it to be done. Yeah, I remember.
And
that.
segued us, Mama Maggie. Is fan fiction a viable form of learning how to write? Why or why not? Keep saying what you were saying. You're right on the right track.
It's the thing is though is that one thing that a lot of early fan fictioners don't do is they don't respect the world. They will start right there and then they just go off willy-nilly and just throw everything in it. But the thing with fan fiction is it's like Clark's rules for science fiction. Is you can bend the world, but you can't break it. So that's one thing of the unspoken rules, and that is something that Lauren struggled with was people going when she wrote Zelda as the hero. Is people going, no, you can't do that. You're breaking the world. Blah 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 blah. And that is something. Now, fanficting rules have gotten much looser in the last 2 decades. I will say that they've gotten much looser. But is when you're writing fan fiction, it's like when you're writing science fiction. You have to write within the rules. And changing a few things is fine. But it's like one thing that people like Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan fictions, so much of that breaks all the rules of Buffy's world.
Yeah.
And the Charmed Ones fan fiction, and we're not going to talk about new Charmed Ones. I
Thank you.
Discuss that series. But if the Charmed Ones, the old ones, you can tell who is a real fan because they stay in the world. They stay in the world. And the ones who aren't just go off all crazy, and it's like, okay, you can add the Cthulhu mythology into the Charmed Ones world, but you can't break the rules of the 3.
Correct. Numbers. You have to understand how simple things like numbers of things matter. In here,
and it's like
3, 5, 7, 12 matter.
And it's like I've seen fan fictions where like, okay, you can write a Tolkien fan fiction, but the minute someone has a gun, that's no longer a Tolkien fan fiction. Right. You have very specific world building elements that you can't break. But as far as a story seed, as far as a place to start, Jenna knows, Lauren knows, I am this massive world building person. I write a novella for my world build.
Yes.
I wish I was joking. But world building is the hardest part. World building and character building it is harder than plotting the story. It is harder than creating the arcs. World building is the hardest part because it is the thing that you as the writer literally have to wear as manacles while you're writing the book.
And you learn this in fanfic land quick.
Oh, yeah.
When you fanfic, you have someone who has done the hard work for you. So it becomes they have tilled the garden, removed the stones, turned the soil, and handed you the seeds.
Yep.
All you have to do is put them in the ground. Sorry, Dawn, I use all the garden metaphors. But that is why fanficting is one of the best places to start writing, is because you can get your story vibes out. You can find your writer voice without having to do the backbreaking labor of
and a lot
building the
of
world.
world building already done for you, depending on what universe you're trying to have your book in.
Or how many original things you're trying to insert. That's true. Did we want to volley over to Dawn and then go to the sisters? We'll cross the screens this question.
That's fine.
Sorry, this is
no, you segued us. It was perfect.
That was exactly, you're exactly on point, because when you're playing in someone else's sandbox with someone else's toys, you're not having to build the framework, and there's so much you can channel all of your energies into story, because when I wrote what became Misty Fairchild in the Heart of Alignment, everything was already done for me. I had backstory. I already knew how the characters talked, how they interacted with one another, how they interacted with other people, how they interacted with strangers, because I had 9 seasons of seeing that over and over and over again, how they react to their environment and what the rules for their world were. So there was nothing that I had to make up except for this story that wanted to come through me. Now, once I had done all of that, I had spent all of this time learning how to write a story. When I was younger, doing the Chronicles of Narnia thing, but there were other things that I would do as well that I wouldn't call them actual fanfic, but they were author pastiches, where I would practice writing in the voice of. And so I would write an Ellen Montgomery scene, or I would write, as if it was in the voice of that author. So that was something that I practiced for a really long time, and it took me a while to find my voice. But it was through using other people, through this mimicry, that I learned a lot of rules about pacing. I learned the rules about how to present a character, the character voice, all of those things, when they're prepared for you by another artist, gives you those are the training wheels. Until you can ride the bike yourself, you're going to use something for balance. And that's what fanfic for a lot of people is. I mean, you look at someone like, Claire, and she started almost exclusively as a fanfic writer. I used to read her fan fiction, back when she was Cassie Clare, writing about, strawberry shampoo and and the Very Secret Diaries, so we still as artists have our own responsibility towards craft and towards really learning how to apply that stuff, because as long as we stay in their if we don't leave their sandbox, we're never going to learn our own voice. We have to learn how to build our own sandbox. We have to learn how to craft our own toys. And sometimes, we wind up standing on the shoulders of giants. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what I was going to plunk in Inca's statement, because very much so, especially when the story has audio or visual media to back it up. Now, for Lauren and Nicole, they might have a slightly different take on this, being that they have the experiences they have in a world that is not necessarily kind to people who can't see well. So let me hear your take on this, my ladies.
Go ahead, Nick.
Well, I started fanfic writing in middle school because I didn't feel I had much of a voice in school or being noticed. And fanfics was a way for me to escape and create my own unique characters and universes. But it also helped me bridge the gap between theater, LARPing, cosplaying, because of the fact when writing, I got so into the character's voice and their quirks and how to interact with other people that when it came to reading scripts or pretend to be a character in a fantasy realm, it was easy for me to transfer that idea.
So for you, it was therapeutic. And in my opinion, writing is therapy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like of being more of a reader of fan fiction, it's kind of also shown like kind of like what not to do, especially with writing it, because I've read some fan fiction where like the dialogue just seems like, I don't know, like just so out there. It doesn't seem like it would be normal things that people would
out
say.
of character.
Yeah. Well, out of character, like for that universe, but just, you know, things that people just wouldn't say.
Very true. Very true. And since you brought up the out of characterness, I'm double checking for a couple of comments. I know Six stepped it out. Thank you for being here, my friend. And Devin also the same. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry if I'm having a hard time multitasking everything on the two screens today. And if I miss any comments or questions.
You're just worried about the storm coming over the mountain at you.
I'm used to the protection of the valley, cutting most of the thunder and lightning off from messing with my internet. I don't have that on the east side of the valley now. On the east side of the mountain now. That's the issue, and I don't know how good the wiring here is yet. So the other thing going on also is, as a group, let's review some key terminology. We've already said a couple of different fanfic terms and see what we do and don't remember. The website I am using is old. It's Angel Fire. It's that old. I didn't know Angel Fire still existed as a server or a host, put it that way. But as a group, let's define some key terminology we remember from writing fan fiction, and I pulled randomly from the list. I will recap commentary after.
Oh, I'm going to be so bad at this. I don't remember. All I know is the terms are named after citrus fruits.
Some of them are for anime, yes. Anyway, AA, no, not Alcoholics Anonymous.
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
It's a genre. I'll give you a hint.
Wait, what was I miss it?
AA.
Angry alphas? I don't know. I read too much werewolf.
Alternate alliance? I don't know. Dabbing onto dark.
If I give you the first half, you'll probably get the second half. Action.
Adventure.
Oh,
Adventure. Yep. Action adventure.
Well, you said
Warm
John.
up.
I should know that. I write that.
Most of us do. That's why I thought it was a safe one to give. So this one might be a self-explanatory. What's an amnesia fic?
oh, that's how mine started out. Where you just don't remember the character doesn't remember what happened, and now that's a mystery. It's Memento.
It's Memento.
It's the you should have died of a subdermal hematoma fic.
Wow.
Mama Maggie.
They should put it out there too.
Star Trek for the win here, my friend. Star Trek
Yes.
for the win. A/N. A/N.
Action neurological? I don't know.
Yes, they normally come at the end or the beginning of a posting on a
Offer
fanfic.
note.
Good job. Offer note.
Only because they do at the end of the chapter for novella.
There you go. I wondered if that's something that was left over from fan fiction that Kindle Vella tacked on to.
Maybe.
What about bad fic? What's a bad fic?
Angry alphas?
Okay, that's a band name now.
Where they're like bashing the character?
Yep, it's a type of parody.
I'm still recovering from COVID.
the
Bad
fan.
fic is badly done.
Yep. When they're so badly
Not
done,
immortal.
very parody based, very parody, satirical would apply.
It's a satire that failed. That's what bad fic is.
Yeah.
But on purpose, usually. It's kind of
I
like
could
those
probably
movies
write
that are.
some really good bad fic.
I often say they're like those movies that know they're so bad it's making fun of itself for being bad, and therefore they're doing a hilarious job at doing it. Looking at you,
It's-
Knives Out series.
It's the Jar Jar Binks of fan fiction.
Oh yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
You're not wrong.
Adore Jar Jar as a fellow outcast and wallflower who often gets forgotten and made fun of. I adore Jar Jar. He good peeps. He good peeps. So what about canon? What's a canon? Most of us
It
know
is-
this already.
That's the sandbox.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
your sandbox right there.
The actual sandbox right there, Troy.
The actual sandbox and the actual sand. It's gritty and it gets into everything.
That's why you would. Never mind. I'm not going to finish that
Yep.
sentence on
Don't
YouTube.
go there.
Do it.
No,
Don't go
crackfic.
there. Then.
What's a crackfic?
I
don't
thought
know.
crackfic was like bad fic.
No.
There is a fine line.
It's not the same. I'm not sure what it is. I
Would it
think
be
You
like a
technically
Dumbledore
wrote one, Mama
thing?
Maggie.
Is it when you break the world, or when you write the alternate of the world?
Refers to stories in which completely ridiculous, unbelievable, or insane things occur, often without reasonable explanation, but great enjoyment, and often written a very short amount of time.
No, dumpster
Oh,
fire.
oh, lady.
So I attribute crackfic writing to anyone who can do more than 100,000 words a year, just because y'all
So
impressive.
CB is a crack fit writer.
God,
yes.
CB with her what, 3 million? She's at 3 or 4 million on her Marvel fanfics.
I
Wow.
think
Yes.
technically the fanfic that turned into Misty could qualify as crack fit. I just like busted it out and it was hilarious and it was like, off the wall and
See, this is why I won't bring out any of my Ronin stuff, because it's all crackfic.
But we want to read it.
It's bad. Oh, it's not even bad fic bad. It's just
Honey?
bad.
Have you seen the AI
Are you
stuff
been on
going on to
fanfiction?
Amazon right now? It cannot be that bad.
I had to grade student essays written by AI, okay? And then tried to tell them how what they wrote was illegal, and I knew. What is this nonsense? Hello, soul brother. We're talking about fan fiction. He's a fellow anime nerd gamer, so he might have some YouTube-friendly things to say about this. Hint, Baka. Love you, bro. Anyway.
Crackfic is writing like you're on crack.
Yes. Or like we always said we would be cracked out on pixie sticks and other types of sugar by comparison in the 90s.
I lost 12 pounds in 1 week when I wrote that. When I wrote that first draft, 12 pounds. I said that I gave birth to a 12-pound novel at the end of that.
Wow.
I love it. So what about disclaimer? What's a disclaimer?
Disclaimer
It's when you
something
say
have
you don't
to put.
own the original fanfics or
Mhm.
what it's based off of.
You don't own the sandbox.
Yep.
You only play in
And
it.
they are not legally viable in court. They are only a respect thing. Keep that in mind. They're only legal if
And
you actually go into the copyright and include that. I think it's something C clause where it's parody law. Then you're
Yeah.
safe.
And it's like okay, so my fan fiction, my huge 1.4 million word fan fiction, I had to when Jorge, Chris, and Carlos stopped working together, I had to go through, remove everything about them, alter their character personalities and arcs, it to be such a way that it was no longer a fan fiction. So even though this started as a 30,000 word fan fiction, it is now no longer fan fiction because I have put in the due diligence. And if you're going to publish anything that starts as a fan fiction, you have to do the due diligence to remove the majority of the recognizable world from your fan fiction.
Yep.
And that's why, even though this is huge, it has taken me twice as long to edit it as it did to write the entire thing,
Because you have
because
to take out all the fan fiction stuff.
you have to, I have an an over 1 million word one document in Microsoft Word with over 1 million words in it of the entire series, so that when I change something, I can literally go through, change. And let me tell you something. If I work on that document for more than an hour, I have to shut off my computer because it overheats.
And take a break and walk away from it. Yep.
But
Microsoft
we all know
Word's
this is
not
happening
powerful.
because what was it? The guy who rewrote the end of oh my goodness. It was a big thing like 3 weeks ago. He rewrote the end of one of the Marvel movies.
Oh,
To be
I didn't talk
bigger
about.
than the Marvel movie, and then he published on Amazon.
Wow.
The Overlord D went after him. You do not touch anything the Overlord D has their fingers in, because they are even now that they've bought Marvel Comics, they are actually going after the original Marvel character creators for using their own character creation. So
Even if they're tied to a different publishing house. Yeah.
Yep.
The disclaimer is one of the most important parts of your fan fictions. And if you are moving from fan fiction, free sharing, common domain to published domain, you have to, it cannot be a
Unbrand
fan
it.
fiction anymore. You have to remove the fan fiction elements unless you have the approval of the original author's world, which is why, going back to the very first thing we said in the beginning, Harry Potter, you do not publish fan fictions with Harry Potter.
Without a disclaimer.
She
will
will
go after
come
you.
after you like a vampire that's been locked in a tomb for 1,000 years. She will come for your blood and your creativity.
She'll turn into Vincent Valentine?
Pretty much. Here's the thing. So it's fanficting is one of the best things we can do. It's one of the most encouraging things that those of us who are authors can tell young writers. Do this. Enjoy this. Play in these sandboxes. Play in these gardens. Take your seeds and just scatter them everywhere. But know that you don't own that world.
Correct.
Yeah.
100%.
When
Hi,
RC! I had to take everything. The only thing that I was unable to purge, hi RC, was Dean Winchester's mouth. I could not. I mean, it is pervasive.
But he's not the only one. I have a daughter in the Navy, and I can tell you he's not the only one that's mouthy like that.
Yeah. Well,
There's
and the love of
a lot
pie.
of people.
There's a lot of pie reference. So
there's a lot of people in the world that are mouthy like that.
And for Lauren and Nicole, did you have any others to add in? Because we're starting to get into our wrap-up phase with the live. We're not halfway done the questions, and we're almost to the full hour. This is great. So any final questions you have?
My thing was like, there's a lot of controversy of like novels that were published that people will go back and claim that they started out as fan fiction. So do you guys feel like that takes anything away from the world that the author created?
No.
Like in Maggie's case, like, you know, you had it started from fan fiction and then it turned into its own thing. Like, I feel like, you know, it's still a lot of hard work that you put into creating something just because either it was inspired by fan fiction or, you know, it came from fan fiction. It doesn't make it any less value of what it is.
And I
want to beta test this, RC. I'm sorry for interrupting. RC, I used to make a game out of Supernatural. Every time Dean makes a stupid wisecrack, take a drink. I need this as like someone's fan fiction, their reactions, kind of like Mystery Science Theater-esque. Go for it, my sisters.
Yes.
Go for it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
And I feel like that, you know, like we said, fan fiction is a place for you to play. You still have to be respectful. Like, I've seen fanfics where they'll show a character had a disability or a mental disorder, and they won't do the research. They're not respectful. But yeah, he tried to like do a little nudge or give him some help. They'll offer you, but it's like, okay, I know you're having fun. You're playing like this in this world, but there's still rules. There's still respect that has to be given to the people that are reading it.
Yeah, they're like, how dare you tell me how to play in the sandbox?
I like that. That was a nice way to compliment what your sister said. How dare you tell me whether or not I can play in the sandbox? I'm sorry. I'm still watching cartoons and playing video games, and I'm 35. You ain't not gonna
Well,
stop me. Just saying.
And another thing on what Nicole said was, though, if you're fanficting off real people, like the band, the K-pop band and the boy band fan fictions, if you're fanficting off real people, please don't make them into monsters. Please don't turn them. I saw a Harry Styles serial killer fan fiction.
Wow.
And he is this, and it was a sadist, like a sexual sadist serial killer fan fiction with Harry Styles as the main character. And I'm like, you have mental problems because he's a huge charity advocate. He does a lot of stuff for human trafficking, and it was like, why would you even write this? And the person that had to pull it off Wattpad because people love the Harry Styles fictions, and literally that fan base. And this is another thing: if you piss off a fan fiction fan base, you might as well just go lay naked on the beach and wait for the crabs to pick the flesh off your bones. It will be less painful.
As Inka said, Harry Styles slays, not like that.
Well, yeah, it's already said. So, in the fanfic world for Descendants, when the actor that played Carlos passed, that whole site shut down because no one wanted to write a fanfic and disrespect them.
Yeah, respect the toys, respect the sandbox.
And that's if you're not doing it and you're doing it on purpose, you need to put it up front in like the beginning of the story and the beginning of every chapter. Not just
watch
a
me break
trigger
this
warning, but you are walking into a world that is not what you expect it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that some celebrities got into about the fanfic in the early 2000s really big was with some of the stuff Mama Maggie was talking about, because it was going on with like, Backstreet Boys, people who started in Mickey Mouse Club, basically.
Right.
So they literally started hunting down the people who got famous for it and sued them for defamation of character, and they won. So
because
I mean,
the disclaimer of that we're any resemblance to characters to people real or living is completely a coincidence. That's something you need to understand. But the thing with fanfic is you're writing other people, other worlds, and the respect. You need to have the respect. That's what I did when I wrote Cora. Is I went to Rachel with every single thing. This is this chapter. This is this world, and ask her. And that is something that you have to do when you're fanficting. Is not everyone has access to that author. I did because Rachel and I were friends. But if you are imagine you are having a conversation with that author, and like, I'm writing this in your world, and try to think of, would they be okay with it? Would they not be okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, an example of the Harry Styles thing, I don't okay with it.
One of the things that we didn't really even touch on here is what qualifies as fanfic. Because, I mean, historically, fanfiction has just been ubiquitous. Homer and Ovid, they were writing down stories that were already being told. It was their take on these stories. And Shakespeare, I mean, he was just like writing history fic left and right. Everything that he wrote was
fan fiction on history.
Fan fiction of something. Most of what we write is a permutation of something that has gone before. We're all telling the hero's journey. We're all telling the hero with 1,000 faces. We're all saying the same things over and over again, just in a new way. And then when someone else has handed us the structure, it gives us something to it gives us monkey bars to swing on until we learn how to fly on the trapeze.
Very true. Any final comments? Lauren and Nicole, did you have? I saw a lip moving but didn't hear. I wasn't sure if I missed something.
Oh, no, we had to mute it because there were sirens.
I didn't do it.
And Lauren was
No,
asking
it's okay.
if I still heard it, my hearing's a lot more sensitive than hers.
The
So
fan
please do
fiction
not do it.
police coming for us.
It's J.K. Rowling. She's coming up.
I'm like an hour and a half away. Let me gas up the car. I don't think I'm going to beat them there. Sorry. And I don't have bail money.
Please don't come for us, Overlord D.
Considering how much money I've given Overlord D throughout my life.
Oh, I know.
No.
Or that you're still continuing to give to them?
Or that I'm
I'm
tipping
sorry,
straight
some
with
other
some
stuff's
project
actually good.
for Overlord D.
We love the mouse. We love the mouse.
Some of the stories are actually written by writers who know what they're doing. I'll word it that way. Inside Out. How do you describe collegiate level stuff to 5-year-olds? Inside Out. That's a 101 psychology course for 5-year-olds.
I just went and saw Spider-Verse, and I left thinking I can't write stories. This is just like
And you're welcome that we did some brain splatter there, Baka. I'm sorry, my brain still can't get past categorizing William Shakespeare as a fan fiction writer. He literally ruined the world's view on Cleopatra, dude. He literally did. And on that note, I'm Jenna O'Malley. I think we're going to go ahead and wind down and introduce ourselves in the square. I'll go first. Jenna O'Malley, author of This Thing with its book 2 that comes out in 8 days, The Myrna Annals, book 1 and 2. And we're doing our next episode, thank you, of Soul Care Sunday on July the 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern. So same time a week from now. And it's going to be Witchy Ways to Refill the Well. Michael, your turn.
I am Michael Dawn Brooks, the author of the Waysharer Saga, first book, Misty Fairchild in the Heart of Alignment. Book 2, Adam Rowan and the Heart of the Mountain will be coming out in the fall. And follow me on Ream, where you can subscribe and read all of my wackiness, including a story about a coffee apocalypse, an apocalypse.
A coffee apocalypse?
It's called Hippocalypse. It's free on Ream, and it is a flash fiction about the coffee. All the coffee is gone. And so now the world is in an apocalypse because there is no coffee.
I would no.
I'm sorry, I kind of blacked out. You have your humor coffee in the world.
It was made into a film. It's actually been made into an award-winning film.
No, the coffee apocalypse. I just finished writing a book on fungal zombieism and how the food industry caused the zombie apocalypse. I can handle. I could not handle a coffee apocalypse.
We need to do an episode on coffee in September.
I just sit there with a cup of tea and just watch chaos run.
Lauren and Nicole, your outros, my friends.
Go ahead.
Marmitas, I'm Nicole, author of Shadow Bits. I'm not sure what coffee is.
Yeah, I was pretty your book right away.
Shadows Bits.
Also offering tarot readings for anyone's interested. Trying to do more of that on my channel as well.
Yay! And I am the better half of the duo.
You're the other half.
I'm gonna keep saying I'm the better one until it sticks. But my channel is offering more Adele, and I am offering offer interview for anybody that's interested through our Ko-fi page and my YouTube channel. Offer Lauren Adele.
Oh, also offering sensitivity reading for anyone interested as well. Forgot about that.
Yeah, that was an awesome suggestion made by Jenna.
I actually think I recall other people suggesting it to you before, so I will not claim that originality. But
okay.
I'm Mama Maggie Ward, stroke survivor and independent author. I am currently in the process of publishing the Relic of Time Wars, Relic of Time and Prophecies, and War of Prophecies are the first 2 books in the series. Cretaceous Conspiracy is out. Etheria Arises will be coming out next, followed by Dust Shadow Insurgents, which will both be this year. I started with a 30,000 word fanfic based on a 2-minute music parody video that combined Jurassic Craft and Jurassic World and Zelda, and now I have a 1.4 million series combining all of the things. So if you have a seed, if it's just a few hundred words and you're starting a fanfic, do it. Write it all. Even if you only write 100 words a week, 100 words a week is still 5,000 words a year.
That's true.
1,000 words a week is 52,000 words a year.
That's a novel.
No words left behind. There is someone who wants to hear your story. And if it's a fan fiction, if you're just starting in writing, don't be afraid. If stroke damaged, memory loss mama can write, so can you. And fan fiction, rewriting the ending, finding the world you love and creating something you love in it.
Can't ask for more.
There's definitely no shame in that.
Nope.
And I
Join
think
us.
that's an epic note to end us out. We have to see you later, everybody. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye. Be blessed.